Oh, happy Friday, everybody. Got a few locomotives to show you tonight. This is the one I finished, I guess, first. This is a Rapido RSU 18. It's Ottawa Central 1815. So this is done for the same guy that I did the Canadian National, the green and gold for. So he came back for another one, and yeah, so I figured I'd try and do one better if I could. So yeah, let's get into this one. You guys have seen this video in the making of it, but this is the final product. I'll go over some of the details here. Yeah, so it started out with a bit of paint work, doing some rust work on the roof, and then I kind of moved down to the trucks and added some of the details down there, and details as well. A little bit of red paint everywhere. As you see, that red paint kind of got covered up on the roof mostly, but there's still a hint of it kicking around. Anyway, yeah, working with a black locomotive was difficult. I had to actually lighten the whole thing up, just so I could kind of get some semblance of variation in there. I don't know if you can see that right now, but there's a couple tones of black on this thing. The flat black from Tamiya, and then I did mix rubber black with a bit more of a light gray, a sky gray, to kind of really add a bit more to the vents and the exhaust stack, as well as the creases between the doors, between the panels there. So hopefully that shows up quite well. See if I can get it to focus there. There we go. Interesting thing about both of these, well, I'll let you, and I got another RS18U, but both of them actually had the same rust pattern on the sills. So it was basically coming down in little stripes from the cab back. And so that was one thing I did on that one. Used a lot of powders on this locomotive as well. I used powders to actually get the battery box to do to show up like the rust, and I used some rust or some powders on the front walkway as well. And the trucks got powders. I haven't really used powders too much, but this one called for it, so I went in with that. Oils on this one, I did use oils on the individual streaks down the yellow stripe there. What else? Anyway, I'll just give a spin around. Got the kick up on the front and rear as well. Where is it? And the interior of the walkways there as well, inside. You can see that. So yeah, so this is going to go back soon, and then I'll do the next RS18U. This is a Ontario Southland 181, another Rapido model. And this is also from another guy who I've also done work for, so these guys keep coming back. Things I did to this one, immediate change was the painting of the cab roof. They didn't keep it the maroon color. They basically masked it off and painted it the same color as the roof, which is kind of like a sooty black. This one didn't have the rusty kind of striping like the Ottawa Central one. It was more just black sooty dirt coming off of this one. Yeah, so this one didn't really have much warmth to it. Just a couple areas of warmth. There was some rust actually on the walkway leading from the conductor's door down, so that got sprayed with rust color. The trucks and the underframe was actually quite clean on this unit. Most of it was, most of the dirtiness, actually there isn't really much dirtiness. There's a bit of grime along the sill here, right along the walkway and the sill. And that was all airbrushed in. The final thing I did on this one was the Windsor and Newton oils, the black and the brown, just to highlight the seams along both sides of the locomotive. Interesting things here. It was hard to actually get the soot to show up on the roof of this locomotive. I don't know if you can see it there. It just, everything being black, I had to lighten the roof to get that to show up. This one, yeah, again, fairly clean locomotive. I just did the kick-up spray on the front, on the pilot and the plow. and a little bit of kick up on the trucks. And the walkways got toned down a little bit in dust and rust. There is a final coat of rust on the roof. I don't know if you can see it there. Anyway, this one, yeah, not too much else to say, I guess. I did fade the burgundy down. I didn't fade the beige. I left that. But yeah, so that's number 2. And then number 3. So this one has been on my bench forever. I did show a video of the painting of this one finally getting the zombie striping going. But I had a bit of a problem with the front beacon here. It burned out, well, actually I took it out. The LED I couldn't get working. I thought it actually failed on the motherboard, which is it's actually a Scale Trains motherboard from an SD40-2. So the interesting thing about this one is it does have a keep alive because I used that Scale Trains motherboard. I ended up putting a capacitor under here and on the other side. So I took them off the board and then just wired them. I soldered some extra long wires to get it to the motherboard because that's the only place this would fit, is right in the jowls here under the wide hood or the wide cab. So this one does run through dirty track, no problem. And this, I did have to take everything apart. And well, I didn't actually take the cab apart on this one just because it would have ruined the model completely. So what I ended up doing was drilling a hole. If you can see the wire maybe kicking down, I ended up drilling a hole right between the window and the hood there, and I fished it down through the hood, not through the cab. It went straight down, and I was able to get the wire working for about a minute, and then it went out again. That's why I started thinking it was a motherboard issue. But then I did take the shell off, and the wire had actually been cut. So it must have been me sliding the cab down anyway. Too much pressure on the wire, and it just snapped in half. So I had to solder the wire in the cab here, which is next to impossible, but I did manage to do it. So this thing's back to 15 LEDs working. This is the most complex electronically engine that I have. It's ridiculous inside. There's like 34 wires running all over the place. But yeah, things to say about this one. I did take the door off, which for an Athearn Genesis, you can actually do. So that's kind of cool. Not only did I take the door off, actually, I built the bathroom inside as well. So it's got the back wall. I don't know if I can get inside this thing and show you. It's pretty tough to get in there. Yeah. Anyway, there is actually a bathroom in there. I did have to chop the frame in order to do this because the frame would be right up front. So I cut all that out. The end result, and I did cut the frame and put a scale sound system speaker in as well. So this thing is fairly light. The only reason that it's not such a big problem is because I do plan on running it as a consist. So, it'll pull. It won't pull very much by itself, but it'll pull with somebody else helping. I did do the number boards in this one too, so I drilled them all out because Athearn doesn't have number boards that light up for the most part. Starting to now, but this is 2010. This is a 2010 model. So I drilled it all out, made my own number boards, put the decals on, and then kind of glued them back in. I think you guys have seen a video of how I make my whip antennas out of toothbrush bristles. The cabling coming off the front of the antenna going into the roof is just 2 strands of wire twisted very tightly. It gives it a bit more of a unique appearance rather than just a strand of wire. GPS antenna is just a piece of styrene rod. I did burn the ends of it, and that, to flatten out the platform. So that's interesting. This is a Mac rail part, just the GPS antenna, and then I think the bell was a Details West. I think it's an electronic bell. I make my own beacons out of carbon or fiber optic cable. If you're going to do that, make sure you get the fiber optic cable that shines light out the side and the ends, because there's 2 different types of fiber optic. I'll move back here if I can. The conduit here, the electrical conduit, that is very fine styrene rod that's been burnt with a lighter and flared out at the ends, just to make it look like electrical conduit. And on the bottom side, actually, yeah, I made my own waste retention tank, if you can see that in there. So that's, I'll actually, I don't know if I've done a video on that, but they're pretty cool. I made about 5 or 6 of them all at once. So I just plop them on when I need one, which is kind of nice to have. So that's got a waste retention tank in there, and I put other piping down below there as well. Unfortunately, it's not very noticeable, but it's there. Yeah, what else did I do for this one? Anyway, it's got a full-on paint job, like crazy paint. This thing is taken so much time and so much work to do. Yeah, so these ones are all, this one's going on my layout, and the other 2 are going back to their owners. I do have one final locomotive that I want to show. I've got it up for sale, and so if anybody's interested, this one is called the Spirit of Lucy, and it's another Athearn Genesis unit. This has got a Tsunami 2 decoder in it. Sounds amazing. It's also got quite the light show on the front end. I think there's like 13 lights on the front end of this thing. So number 4642, I say Spirit of Lucy because this thing got fairly dirty at one point in his life, and either the engineer or the conductor thought it'd be funny to call this the Spirit of Lucy instead of the Spirit of St. Louis, I guess. And they went back through the long hood and started doing happy faces all over the place. Just instead of cleaning the engine, they just made it look funnier. But a lot of work went into this engine as well. So nothing electronic, but a hell of a paint job. I faded everything. The blue faded the red, and then just went over it with everything, oils, and the fuel tank is a hell of a lot of work just to do the fuel tank alone. But the patchwork of the battery boxes and everything on here has been touched. Anyway, so this one's for sale. If anybody's interested, I'll flip you the link to my Facebook marketplace ad. But just give you a quick look at this one. Oh yeah, and it's got I build these things, these end of train flashers, whatever. This one doesn't flash, but there is a pocket in the locomotive on the back pilot, and somebody was actually asking what it's for, and it's actually for an end of train device. So there is one on the back of this guy. You can take it off and put it on your end of train if you like, but it's kind of cool to have it on the locomotive. So yeah, if anybody's interested, let me know. I'll ship it out to you. Okay, that's all I have for this Friday. I'm going to try and do an op session soon. I've got to get 4762. I've got them speed matched with the other 3 Jeeps that I have, so should be quite interesting to get them all running, all 4 of them at the same time. And I've got lots of other things in the works, so the videos will keep coming. Anyway, have a good long Family Day weekend for everybody in Canada, or maybe that's just Ontario. But yeah, I'll try and post some more videos throughout the weekend. Take care.